What's good, Foundation Nation? Today we're here with a review of the Discraft Vulture. So I have the Vulture here in the Z plastic. Really great feeling fairway. Discraft gives it flight numbers of 10.502. Feel-wise, I have a one qualm with that. I think it feels a lot more like a 9-speed, like your traditional 9-speed on the market. I don't think it's quite as fast as a 10-speed feel-wise, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The 9-speed's my favorite speed disc, so not gonna really affect the review anyway. Relatively flat. They have a nice little shoulder, but a flat top, so it feels good to me. Forehand and backhand, I would not call it board flat by any means. If you're someone who really wants a board flat disc, that's not the Vulture. It definitely has a little bit of a shoulder to it, but that doesn't stop it from being comfortable in my hand. I think it has a great feel overall. It's available in several different plastics, but like I said, we're trying the Z one out here today. I've had it in and out of my bag before. I've always liked it, so we'll see kind of how I throw it in the field, but yeah, I'm expecting it to be a relatively overstable fairway driver. I think a lot of people have a misconception that the Vulture's flippier than it is because you see someone like Brody or Paul throw it and it will flip up on them. In my experience, that does not happen with an average player, but we'll get out of the field, we'll give it a test, we'll see what we can get it to do, and then we'll come back here and give you our final thoughts. Alright, so this first one says flat, but it definitely came out on a slight hyzer, and you can tell it just holds that angle the whole way to the ground, essentially. This one, when I actually got it flat, that's the true flight there. Very neutral, nice little pushing fade at the end there. And then on anhyzer, I really was liking this disc. It kind of just held it and slowly fought to flat. You'll see in a little bit I put more anhyzer on it and get behind it a little bit more. This 10-speed gap is exactly where I like throwing my forehands, and I think that this disc flies great on that. And here's a little bit more hyzer. You can see no real desire to flip up, just holds it, rides that angle all the way to the ground, and that's kind of what you'll notice with the Vulture, is it likes to just hold whatever angle it's on. And here's this big anhyzer, doesn't bite or doesn't fight to the ground, just slowly pans the whole flight. Absolutely beautiful. Alright, so there it was. There's the throws with the Vulture. I was feeling this disc today. I was absolutely loving it. It was flying great for me on every angle, flying very true to the flight numbers. Like I said, it feels like a 9-speed, but other than that, the 502, flying very true to that. I think the anhyzers were where this disc really shined. It really liked to like flatten and still get back a little bit without being too overstable. Had a ton of glide. Really good for those pushing hyzers where it's not going to flip up on you. You don't have to worry about that, but it does just want to hold that line and kind of push. I was able to throw it pretty flat. I was pretty proud of myself. And it went dead straight with a solid finish at the end. Very, very solid disc. If I didn't love my Thunderbird so much, this would be straight in my bag after what I saw on the field today. It might still go in there and test it a little bit next to my Thunderbirds, but yeah, I think it's a very underrated disc, which is saying a lot because players are talking about it. I just don't think players are talking about this disc enough. I don't see enough AMs carrying this thing. I think it's what a lot of people are looking for, but let's go ahead and get into the scoring system here. So for the feel, it's hard to make a disc feel better than this in my opinion, as far as like a 9-speed goes, 9-10 speed range. The only thing that I'll knock points on is, and this for me isn't a knock, but I know for some people, the way that the rim is, it's not gonna be possible to have a board flat one. No problem in my opinion. I like a little dome, but for forehand dominant players, that could be something people have a problem with. I'm not gonna knock much for it because it feels like a great disc, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 9.2 on the feel there. Next up on the scoring system is the flight, and the flight was incredible. I think it's a very good neutral flyer, and I think that's kind of hard to make. Only thing I will say is it's kind of an in-between where it's not overstable enough that you'd want to trust it into headwinds, but it's not straight enough that you can get flip-ups right out of the box. So I could see where some people might have an issue because it does kind of fit that in-between fairway disc, if that makes sense. Like, it's not truly a perfectly neutral one, but it's also not an overstable disc. So I'm gonna go just with an 8.8 for the flight of the Vulture here. Very solid flight, but like I said, it is kind of a little bit of a weird gap there. So we're gonna go 8.8 on the flight. And finally, let's take a look at what Discraft advertises the Vulture to be and see how true it is to what they're advertising. So Discraft describes the Vulture as a well-seasoned predator with less overstability and more glide. It's predictable in winds and a great long-range placement driver. Pros will appreciate shop shaping ability, while less experienced players will find a consistent, predictable flight. Expect extra glide when you're throwing backhand or sidearm, and a consistent fade into your target. A medium rim gives you more control and excellent hand feel. Rip it with brute force to easily manage upwind shots. Plus, it holds an almost perfect line on big throws. I think that's pretty true to Advertise. Definitely beat-in Predator makes a lot of sense. I think that's probably exactly what this disc is flying like. And yeah, bigger throwers are going to be able to shape this thing. And, you know, if you're throwing 300 feet or less, it's going to be a nice, consistent, overstable disc for you. I wouldn't fully trust it in headwinds, but I think it might flip up a little bit, but it'd still be a good, consistent disc overall. So true to Advertise, we're going to go with a 9. I think that it is relatively true to Advertise, which that gives us an average of exactly a 9.0 for the Vulture here. Great score for a great disc. I know we have these in stock right now when this video comes out, but you can always check foundationdiscs.com, see if we have some in stock, and pick one up if you're looking for a nice neutral fairway driver to add to your game.